I never imagined I would find myself in this position, sitting here, putting my thoughts into words, trying to make sense of the wreckage my life became. I never thought betrayal would be something I'd have to understand firsthand. It's a word people throw around, but you don't truly grasp its weight until it happens to you, until it seeps into the fabric of your existence and tears apart everything you believed in. You can't prepare for it. You can't shield yourself from the pain. It hits like a storm, sudden and unforgiving. Laura and I had what most people would call a perfect life. We had the house, the expensive cars, and the kind of vacations that others only dream of: white sand beaches in the Maldives, candlelit dinners in Paris. She was everything to me: beautiful, intelligent, captivating. More than that, she was my best friend, my confidant, the woman I believed I could trust above all else. But I was wrong. So devastatingly wrong. His name was Bradley. I had known him long before Laura ever spoke of him, back in my college years when he was the kind of guy people gravitated toward. Charismatic, always the center of attention, always quick with a joke. I liked him once, or at least I thought I did. But life moved on, and so did we. Years passed, and Bradley became nothing more than a memory, until the night Laura mentioned his name at dinner. "Bradley's in town," she said casually, her fork idly pushing food around her plate. "We should all get together. It'll be nice to catch up." It seemed harmless. A reunion between old friends. And for a while I let myself believe that. But the months that followed whispered a different story. Laura began to change in small, almost imperceptible ways. She was distracted, always lost in thought. She would slip her phone beneath the table during dinner, fingers moving too quickly, too secretively. The warmth between us began to cool, her touch grew distant, her kisses mechanical. I wanted to believe it was just stress, that maybe we were simply going through a rough patch. I trusted her. God help me, I trusted her. Then came the night that shattered everything. She was supposed to be home by 8. By 9 there was no sign of her. By 10 I knew something was wrong. I felt it in my bones, the kind of unease that coils around your chest and tightens, suffocating you. I told myself I was being paranoid, that there had to be a reasonable explanation. But doubt had already taken root. I did something I never thought I would. I checked her phone records. Just a quick look, just to ease my mind. But what I found didn't ease anything. If anything, it set my world ablaze. Bradley's name over and over again. Late-night texts, calls at odd hours, secret meetings in places she never mentioned. And then, the final blow, the pictures. Undeniable. Unforgivable. Laura and Bradley tangled together in ways that left no room for doubt. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling, my stomach twisting into knots so tight I could barely breathe. It wasn't just the betrayal that destroyed me, it was the realization that every moment I had spent loving her had been a lie. Every "I love you" she whispered, every smile she gave me, every time she held my hand, all of it was tainted. I could have confronted her then and there. I could have screamed, demanded answers, thrown her deceit back in her face. But I didn't. That would have been too easy. I wanted something more. I played my part well, the devastated husband, the man too blind with love to see the truth. I let her believe I was lost in grief, that I was willing to forgive, that I was clueless. But at night, as she lay beside me, pretending everything was fine, I watched her with new eyes. I could feel the distance, the weight of the secrets she carried. And slowly, carefully, I began to plan. Bradley was my first target. He had always been reckless, always loved to gamble, both with money and with people. It didn't take much digging to uncover his dirty past. A few calls, a few quiet meetings, and I found the perfect person to help me take him down. Rick, an old acquaintance who had once been burned by Bradley's lies. He was still nursing his grudge, still thirsting for revenge. I handed him the ammunition, pointed him in the right direction, and let him do the rest. At the same time, I planted seeds in Laura's mind. Subtle doubts, gentle nudges. I told her I had overheard Bradley talking about money troubles. I watched her face as the worry settled in, as the guilt she already carried twisted into something darker. She was already pulling away from him, she just needed the final push. And I gave it to her. Then I set the trap. A dinner, just the three of us. I played the role of the forgiving husband, the man who wanted to mend the broken pieces. Laura was suspicious, hesitant, but she came. Bradley, on the other hand, was as smug as ever, thinking he had won. He had no idea what was coming. As he excused himself to take a call, Rick was waiting. When I followed a few moments later, I found Bradley cornered, surrounded by two very unfriendly men. A few words. A few threats. A few broken bones. And suddenly Bradley wasn't so confident anymore. But the real masterpiece was Laura's downfall. That night, when we were alone, I laid everything out before her. The pictures. The messages. The lies. She gasped, stammered, tried to explain. But there was no excuse good enough. Then I revealed my final move. A file. A damning financial report, fabricated, but she didn't know that, tying her to Bradley's illegal dealings. I had made sure her fingerprints were all over it. The next day, I handed everything over to the authorities. Bradley was arrested. His empire crumbled. And in the midst of it all, Laura was caught in the wreckage. She wasn't just the woman who betrayed me, she was complicit in his crimes. As I watched her world collapse, as I saw the horror dawn in her eyes, I felt nothing but satisfaction. She had destroyed me first. I had merely returned the favor. Now she has nothing. No money, no reputation, no freedom. And me? I walked away. Free. I don't know if I'll ever love again. I don't know if I'll ever trust again. But I do know one thing. There is no revenge sweeter than watching those who hurt you crumble under the weight of their own deceit.